For business is roll call. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will record their presence. Have all the members recorded their presence? Representative Miller's here. Representative Holdsclaw's here. Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. Representative Hansey is also here.
We'll get him.
The roll call shows 67 present, 3 absent, excused, a quorum being present. The House is ready for business. The second order of business is prayer by the chaplain, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Today the prayer will be led by Pastor Tom Doherty, and the pledge will be led by House Page Christina Nelson. Will the guests in the gallery please rise?
Passage of Scripture today is Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another blessed day to be people who are not afraid to have our voices heard about what is right. You have given us these sensitive leaders to help lead this great state. Open the floodgates of knowledge so we can see clearly the paths we trod. Help us to stand firm on principles that are good and upright. Thank you, Lord, that we can openly seek your direction. Remove any cords of bitterness that may creep in so we can have a clear mind to lead Idaho. Encourage, O Lord, our representatives so they would know that their labor in this House is not in vain. Unite them in their decisions to see Idaho flourish. I pray today for the health of each of these people. Protect them from disease and take care of their needs. And be with Representative Willis' brother with his health issues. I pray that you would be near to him as he deals with these things. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The House will now advance to the third order of business, approval of the journal. The House is at the third order.
March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have read and approved the House Journal of the 59th Legislative Day and recommend same be adopted as corrected. Moved by Wills, seconded by Burgoyne.
When all of the members have taken their seat, we will have the vote. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries and the report is adopted. The House will now advance to the fourth order of business, consideration of messages from the Governor and the Senate. The House is at the fourth order.
From the Senate, March 6, 2013. Mr. Speaker, I return herewith enrolled House Bills 9, 11, 28, 7, 8, and 86, which have been signed by the President, Novak, Secretary of the Senate. March 6, 2013. Mr. Speaker, I transmit herewith Senate Bills 1097 as amended and Senate Bills 1064 and 1117, which have passed the Senate. Novak, Secretary of the Senate.
House Bills 9, 11, 28, 7, 8, and House Bill 86 will be referred to the Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee for delivery to the Governor. Senate Bills 1097 as amended, Senate Bill 1064, Senate Bill 1117 will be filed for the first reading. The House will now advance to the fifth order of business, report of standing committees. The House is at the fifth order. Good gentleman from District 5.
Point of personal privilege.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize the former lady from District 4, Representative Marge Chatterton, who's in the gallery this morning.
Welcome back to the House gallery, Marge. House is at the fifth order. Oh, good lady from District 30.
Thank you,
Pardon me.
Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The good lady has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to recognize today the Idaho Federation of Republican Women joining us in the gallery for Red Jacket at the Capitol Day, and thank them for their service to our great state.
Gentleman from 24.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Gentleman has the floor.
Yes, I'd like to welcome my brother who's visiting from Texas. His name is Dennis, and he's in a gray jacket today. He's up here.
Gentleman from 26.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for point of privilege.
The
Personal
gentleman
privilege.
has the floor.
Thank you. I would like to recognize on behalf of Districts 24, 25, and 6, the Magic Valley Republican Women, President Billy Dingus, Bobby Goss, Maureen Osborne, Lucy Wilkes, Margaret Jansen, and Paula Brackett. I would further like to recognize Jerome County Commissioner Kathy Romer and Blaine County Republican Women represented by Cindy Jessinger. Please welcome.
Good lady from District 6.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
Lady has the floor.
Thank you. I would like to recognize and have you welcome two ladies from the Nez Perce County Republican Women, Sue Pring and Carolyn Durant, if you'd give them a wave. Thank you.
The House is at the fifth order.
March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have printed House Concurrent Resolution 19 and House Bills 259, 260, 261, 262, and 263. Will's Chairman.
House Concurrent Resolution 19 will be referred to the Health and Welfare Committee. House Concurrent Resolution 20, as well as House Bills 262 and 263 will be filed for the second reading. House Bills 259, 260, 261, and 264 will be referred to the Education Committee. House Bill 265 will be referred to the State Affairs Committee. House Bill 266 will be referred to the Agricultural Affairs Committee. House Bill 267 will be referred to the Revenue and Taxation Committee.
March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have enrolled House Bills 10, 153, 109, 163, and 203.
House Bills 10, 153, 109, 163, and 203 will be signed by the Speaker and returned to the Senate for the signature of the President.
March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have engrossed House Bill 66 as amended in the Senate.
House Bill 66, as amended in the Senate, will be filed for the first reading.
March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have transmitted enrolled House Bills 122, 123, 48, 49, 166, 74, 180, 82, 42, 47, 50, and 89 to the Governor at 11:15 a.m. as of this date, March 6th, 2013. Will's Chairman. March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have transmitted enrolled House Concurrent Resolution to the Secretary of State at 11:12 a.m. as of this date, March 6th, 2013. Will's Chairman. March 6, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Education, report that we have had under consideration Senate Bills 1057 as amended, 1091 as amended, and 1098, and recommend that they do pass. Demordaunt, Chairman.
Senate Bills 1057 as amended, 1091 as amended, and Senate Bill 1098 will be filed for the second reading.
March 6, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Transportation and Defense, report that we have had under consideration Senate Bill 1048 as amended and recommend that it do pass. Palmer, Chairman.
Senate Bill 1048 as amended will be filed for second reading.
March 6, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Local Government, report that we have had under consideration House Bill 138 and recommend that it do pass. Barrett, Chairman.
House Bill 138 will be filed for the second reading.
March 7, 2013. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Revenue and Taxation, report that we have had under consideration House Bill 243 and recommend that it do pass. Collins, Chairman.
House Bill 243 will be filed for the second reading.
March 7th, 2013. Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on State Affairs report that we have had under consideration House Bill 202 and 222 and recommend that they do pass. Lurcher, Chairman.
House Bills 202 and 222 will be filed for the second reading. The House will now advance to the eighth order of business, introduction, first reading, and reference of bills and joint resolutions. The House is at the eighth order.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill number 268 by Health and Welfare Committee, an act relating to minors, amending Section 15, Title 18 Idaho Code by the addition of a new Section 18-1524 to define terms, to provide for exceptions, to prohibit or limit the use of tanning devices by minors, to provide for exceptions, to prohibit a tanning facility from claiming that the use of tanning devices is free from risk, to provide for penalties, to provide that penalties assessed shall be deposited in the Idaho Millennium Income Fund, and to provide a scope for local governments. House Bill number 269 by Appropriations Committee, an act appropriating additional monies to the Department of Lands for fiscal year 2013, reducing the appropriation to the Department of Lands for fiscal year 2013, appropriating monies to the Department of Lands for fiscal year 2014, limiting the number of authorized full-time equivalent positions, exempting certain appropriation object transfer limitations, providing guidance for employee compensation, providing legislative intent with regard to funding rangeland fire protection, and declaring an emergency. House Bill number 270 by Appropriations Committee, an act appropriating monies to the Department of Water Resources for fiscal year 2014, limiting the number of authorized full-time equivalent positions, appropriating and transferring monies, providing legislative intent with regard to certain water right filing fees, providing guidance for employee compensation, and exempting appropriation object and program transfer limitations. House Bill number 271 by Revenue and Taxation Committee, an act relating to water quality, amending Section 393602 Idaho Code to define terms, amending Section 393604 to clarify the Director's considerations in designating beneficial uses, and provide that the Director consult with basin advisory groups and watershed advisory groups, amending Section 393605 to clarify the requirement that the Director consult with the basin advisory groups and to make technical corrections, amending Section 393606 to clarify the Director's considerations when determining support from beneficial uses, to provide that the Director consult with basin advisory groups and watershed advisory groups, and to make technical corrections, amending Section 393607 to provide that the Director consult with the basin advisory groups and watershed advisory groups, and to make technical correction, and amending Section 393609 to provide that the Director consult with basin advisory groups, and to make a technical correction. House Bill number 272 by Revenue and Taxation Committee, an act relating to the taxation of personal property, amending Section 60602 KK Idaho Code to establish and revise provisions relating to certain personal property being exempt from taxation, to remove the trigger, to provide additional procedures, and to make technical corrections, amending Section 63803 to provide the correct code citations and make technical correction, amending Section 63803 as added by Section 13, Chapter 339, Laws of 2012, to provide a correct code citation to make technical corrections, amending Section 633638 to provide a correct code reference and to make technical corrections, declaring an emergency, providing retroactive application, and providing effective dates.
House Bills 268, 269, 270, 271, and 272 will be referred to the Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee for printing.
Mr. Speaker.
Good gentleman from District 14.
Point of personal privilege, please.
Gentleman has the floor.
Sorry to interrupt, good Chief Clerk. Today, as you can see from our calendar, there's only a couple of bills that we need to hear on the third reading calendar. And we do have a lot of our friends from northern Idaho that would like to get out of here early tomorrow because they've got some functions going on up there. So what I would like to do, with the permission of the body, I would like to, when we get done with those third reading calendar, go back and suspend rules and do some of those bills that are House bills only on the second reading calendar. So I'd encourage you to look at the second reading calendar, find any of those bills that you think that if you're not ready to do them today, call me and we'll hold them. If there's some that are going to be controversial, I would like to wait on the controversial ones so they have a good hearing. But anything that's non-controversial that everybody's okay with, I would like to try to suspend and do today. So I'd encourage you to look at that second reading calendar and call me if you have any concerns or questions. Questions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Good. Gentlemen. The clerk may read.
In the Senate, Senate Bill number 1097, as amended by Education Committee, an act relating to education, amending Section 33-1002B to establish provisions relating to certain school-age students from outside the state of Idaho and to make a technical correction. Senate Bill number 1064 by Transportation Committee, an act relating to permits for overweight or oversized loads, amending Section 49-1004 Idaho Code to remove references to a pilot project and to make technical corrections, and repealing Section 3, Chapter 315 Laws of 2003 relating to reports to the legislature and a sunset provision. Senate Bill number 1117 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to overweight or oversized loads, amending Chapter 10, Title 49 Idaho Code by the addition of a new Section 49-1004A to provide for special permits for new designated special routes and to provide for the analysis of new special routes.
Senate Bill 1097 as amended will be referred to the Education Committee. Senate Bills 1064 and 1117 will be referred to the Transportation Committee. The House will now advance to the ninth order of business, first reading of engrossed bills. Good gentleman from District 25.
Mr. Chairman, request permission for personal privilege.
Gentleman has the floor.
I would like the members of the House to help me welcome the students and parents from the Deep Creek Mennonite School.
House is at the ninth order.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill number 66, as amended in the Senate by Transportation and Defense Committee, an act relating to the Rural Economic Development and Integrated Freight Transportation Program.
House Bill 66, as amended in the Senate, will be filed for the second reading. The House will now advance to the 10th order of business, second reading of bills and joint resolutions. The House is at the 10th order. Good gentleman from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege, please.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, on the second reading calendar, we have House Bill 143, second column 2 down from the top. That bill has a bit of a problem. It was discovered after it was introduced, and with that, what it deals with is invasive species stickers and transference of those issuance of stickers from the Department of Parks and Rec over to Fish and Game, and it has to be fixed a little bit. It's not a hostile request. This is my bill. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I would ask unanimous consent that that be sent to general orders.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request to place House Bill 143 that resides on the second reading calendar on general orders. Is there an objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker.
Good gentleman from District 15.
I request a point of personal privilege.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would request unanimous consent to return Senate Bill 1033 as amended to the Judiciary and Rules Committee, if I might explain.
Where is 1033?
Second reading calendar.
Gentleman may explain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We had a pretty good debate on that bill. It has to do with temporary guardian or conservatorship, and there was members of the committee that brought up some issues they'd like to look at further.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request to return Senate Bill 1033 from the second reading calendar back to the Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee. Is there an objection? Hearing none, so ordered. House is at the 10th order.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill 251 by Appropriations Committee regarding Appropriations Industrial Commission. House Bill 252 by Appropriations Committee regarding Appropriations Department of Insurance. House Bill 253 by Appropriations Committee regarding Appropriations Public Utilities Commission. House Bill 254 by Appropriations Committee regarding Appropriations Environmental Quality Department. House Bill 255 by Appropriations Committee regarding Appropriations Labor Department. Senate Bill 1014 by Health and Welfare Committee regarding insurance fees and taxes. Senate Bill 189 by Education Committee regarding education. House Bill 242 by Revenue and Taxation Committee regarding property taxation. Senate Bill 1032 by Judiciary and Rules Committee regarding public assistance. House Bill 232 by State Affairs Committee regarding insurance contracts. House Concurrent Resolution 14 by Health and Welfare Committee regarding Fish and Game. Rule rejected. Senate Concurrent Resolution 106 by Resources and Environment Committee regarding Fish and Game. Rule rejected. Senate Concurrent Resolution 108 by Resources and Environment Committee regarding Fish and Game. Rule rejected. Senate Concurrent Resolution 110 by Resources and Environment Committee regarding Fish and Game rule rejected. House Bill 176 by State Affairs Committee regarding absentee voting. Senate Bill 1025 by State Affairs Committee regarding wine. House Bill 244 by Revenue and Taxation Committee regarding fire protection districts. Senate Bill 1049 as amended in the House by Resources and Environment Committee regarding Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. Senate Bill 1013 as amended in the House by Health and Welfare Committee regarding Telecommunications Service Assistant. House Bill 45 as amended by Business Committee regarding Engineers and Surveyors. House Bill 98 as amended by Health and Welfare Committee regarding medical indigency. House Bill 90 as amended by Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee regarding liquor by the drink retail sales. House Bill 91 as amended by Commerce and Human Resources Committee regarding employment security law. House Bill 113 as amended by Agricultural Affairs Committee regarding Agritourism Promotion Act. House Bill 30 as amended by Judiciary and Rules and Administration Committee regarding oaths and affirmations. House Bill 193 as amended by State Affairs Committee regarding emergency telecommunications. House Bill 171 as amended by Transportation and Defense Committee regarding highways. House Bill 120 as amended by State Affairs Committee regarding lottery ticket sales.
House Bills 251, 252, 253, 254, and House Bill 255, Senate Bill 1014, 1089, House Bill 242, Senate Bill 1032, Senate Bill 1033 is amended, House Bill 232, House Bill 143 was returned to general orders, as was 1033 is amended. That was returned to the committee, Let me start over. House Bills 251, 252, 253, 254, 255, Senate Bills 1014, 1089, House Bill 242, Senate Bill 1032, House Bill 232, House Concurrent Resolution 14, Senate Concurrent Resolutions 106, Senate Concurrent Resolution 108, Senate Concurrent Resolution 110, House Bill 176, Senate Bill 1025, House Bill 244, Senate Bill 1049 as amended in the House, Senate Bill 1013 as amended in the House, House Bill 45 as amended, House Bill 98 as amended, House Bill 90 as amended, House Bill 91 as amended, House Bill 113 as amended, House Bill 30 as amended, House Bill 193 as amended, House Bill 171 as amended, and House Bill 120 as amended will all be filed for the third reading. The House will now advance to the 11th order of business, third reading of bills and joint resolutions. The House is at the 11th order. The House will have under consideration House Bill 218. Good lady from District 30.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 218.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good lady is recognized to open the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good ladies and gentlemen, Title 33, as it relates to school bonds, has long been in need of updating and modernizing for some time. I won't test your patience by reciting every detail, but there is a handout available on your desk if you need some light reading. A couple of examples are use of the term coupons. It's now obsolete. Bonds are no longer printed or issued in $100 increments. The Idaho Association of School Business Officials has long desired a cleanup of this statute for clarity and direction in trying to structure school financing proposals. They approached a number of bond attorneys for assistance in providing local school boards and taxpayers a transparent and crystal clear statutory environment in which to bond for school facilities. This bill is a result of that collaboration, and you'll find a letter of support on your desk as well from their organization. 218 modernizes language, makes technical corrections, and cleans up some vague language related to the term of bonds and repayment schedules. Under the old statute, the language directing when a bond repayment plan must be reviewed by the state superintendent and thus the attorney generals was the phrase, "as nearly as practicable." Because that is undefined legally, virtually every plan was submitted, creating unnecessary and costly administrative work in both of those offices. This bill sets out very specific sideboards for when the plan must be submitted, and that is only if there is a variance of 10% from the average payment. The point here is to prevent a district from creating a balloon payment circumstance at the end of the bond. We want as level of repayment plan as possible to spread that out equally over taxpayers, and also the state bond equalization fund, general funds that are provided directly to districts by the state, so that that burden is borne equally. The other substantive change is cleaning up some vague language around the 20-year limit, which theoretically could be and has on rare occasion been interpreted to be longer than 20 years. This bill establishes a clear 30-year maximum term. That is consistent with Idaho cities and counties. Our neighboring state to the south gives schools a 40-year term. This longer term spreads the cost of the building over time and citizens, reducing the individual burden on each taxpayer and allowing for a lower property tax rate. It has more alignment also with the expected life use of the facility. Granted, a 30-year term will usually increase overall interest cost, but it does reduce the individual tax burden by allowing boards to keep the levy rate lower and meet the very high bar of this supermajority vote. Keep in mind, we are not mandating a 30-year term. School districts bond regularly for terms far lower than that, 6, 10, any amount. That will be up to them to decide. This bill simply says 30 years is the maximum. And speaking as a local trustee, usually the last thing we want to do is increase the property tax levy rate. But ultimately, voters make the decision on the right option for their community. This bill has no known opposition, is supported by the State Superintendent of Education. It passed unanimously out of House Education Committee and has multiple sponsors, and I would ask for your support here as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate? The gentleman from District 24.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the good lady from 30 stand for a question?
Will the lady yield?
The lady yields.
The lady yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good lady, I'm looking at Section 2 of the bill. Just to clarify, to be sure that in the case where a bond is being refinanced, no vote is required if the amount of refinancing is less than the current bill, the current bond amount or rate. Is that correct?
Lady from 30.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is correct. If the term is increased, for example, if there was an existing bond and the term was increased under the refinance, they would need to go back to the voters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, good lady.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, good lady from District 35, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I like a lot about this bill. What I don't like about it is the 30 years, because I know the school districts will mainly go to that, and there probably is some cost savings. But, Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen, I would really like to own my own house and my own property before I die, and so I will not be supporting the bill.
Is there further debate? Would the good lady from District 30 care to close the debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do recognize that this is a policy shift. And in strong economic times, our school districts have gotten by with a 20-year term and been able to keep their rates lower. However, this is an alternative to lowering the supermajority because it will enable us, and there are several districts in the state hoping for this, hoping that it will enable them to reach that supermajority level because it will reduce the levy rate that they will be asking. And those are districts all over the state. So in times of strong property value growth, we know that that growth can often pay for itself. In the absence of those times, such as we're in now, this 30-year term will still enable districts to provide the facilities that their children need and deserve in their local districts. So I would encourage your support. Thank you.
The debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 218 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will cast their votes. Have all the members voted? Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. The roll call shows 43 aye, 25 nay, 2 absent excused. House Bill 218 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill 218 will be transmitted to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill 223. Good gentleman from District 23.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to dispense with reading of House Bill 223.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will try to be very brief on this. I noticed I got a little laugh there, but in my travels around the state and in this year of great exuberance about gun bills, when all that information come out, I digested every page, and guess what? There wasn't a word about knives. And the reason I'm concerned about knives, I've had several occasions, one within my own family, where a knife like this is a buck knife, a 4-inch blade. I had a son come down from Washington, and he was stopped 20 miles from anywhere on a state highway. I mean, he was 20 miles from any community of any kind. And they asked him in the process if they could search the car. Under the front seat of the car, they found this knife. They cited him for several things. The only thing they was able to make stick was he had this knife underneath the front seat, and they arrested him, and he had to pay a fine for not having a concealed weapons permit. In his 2 trips coming down from Washington, and I went to the court to be with him to watch how things went, it cost him over $300. Well, I know of a couple other people, one person in these halls right here, he's not a representative, but another person that had a short knife like this and was questioned one time if he had a concealed weapons permit for carrying that knife. And fortunately, he was able to say, yes, I do. Well, that brought to my mind, so I asked Mike Kane, who is the representative for the Sheriff's Association, if anything had been done in this area, and he said no. So I started doing some research. With the support of the Idaho Sheriff's Association, I finally got language drafted that they were comfortable with and said, go ahead. I had to change the knife blade length. I was looking at 7 inches, and they wouldn't do that, but they went down to 4 inches. That's this blade right here. The one that representative from District 1, is it, gave out to all of us that are Eagle Scouts, this is a 3-inch blade, so you know what we're talking about here. So with that in mind, I went forward with the language. Then there was one other area. I was listening on talk radio, and the bill was being yacked about, and there was a lot of guys concerned about a butcher knife. The good lady of our house being able to take her equipment home as she buys it at the store to take it home. Of course, it's in a box, it's concealed, and it's a knife. Well, I done a lot of thinking about that, and so the language just simply says this: any knife, cleaver, or other instrument primarily is an important word there, primarily used in the processing or preparation or eating of food. That makes it safe for us to go on our picnics, to buy stuff to take home to mama, to do all those types of things. Also, my butcher man, when he comes out to butcher a cow, guess what? I love having that guy come out because, clink, the cow's dead. And there's no stress or anything. And he has a whole bunch of knives to get the job done and a couple other instruments. Well, what about the chef at a restaurant? I've talked with a few restaurant owners and chefs, and they are jealously guarding their knives and etc. And in fact, most of them roll them up in some type of a container, put a towel around them, and haul them home so they will not be identified as carrying knives, so to speak. This protects them also. Do you see what I'm saying? The rest of us are going to get by with a 4-inch blade. All right? And that's where it's at. Then they mentioned to me, the Sheriff Association mentioned to me that representative from District 7 would like to have some language in the bill that had to deal with lawfully possessed taser, stun gun, or pepper spray, and we put that in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to report to you that I went over all of that language at the Sheriff's Association. They're in full agreement. I would appreciate your green light. Thank you.
Is there further debate? The gentleman from District 10.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the good gentleman from District 23 yield to a question?
Will the gentleman yield to a question?
Yes, sir.
The gentleman yields.
Good gentleman from 23, in reviewing the piece of legislation you brought before the body today, I guess one part of this that concerns me is exactly what you mentioned, the instrument primarily used in the processing, preparation, or eating of food. So if I have my buck knife that I have in my car and I'm going along and I get pulled over and the police officer asks me if indeed I'm using my buck knife to process food with, and my answer to them is no, this is my hunting knife, will then it still be considered a concealed weapon, and would I still be fined or jailed for that?
Gentleman from 23.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman from
10.
10. Thank you. It has to be primary use to qualify for the first part of that language. If that's not its primary use, the blade needs to be 4 inches or less.
Further debate. Good gentleman from District 34.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to debate in favor of this bill. This language is long overdue. I didn't know until the good gentleman from 23 informed me that I had been disobeying the law for over 70 years. I didn't know that. I carry a pocket knife in my work clothes out to the farm all the time. I have to have it. Who knows when you have to cut a piece of twine? Who knows when you got an electrical wire that you need to connect and you got to peel off the insulation off the end of the wire? Cutting a piece of rubber tubing or something like that, I use that knife 3 or 4 times every day. But I was disobeying the law. And fortunately, I never did get picked up for carrying a concealed weapon. I'm not sure our sheriff's department knows that that was in the law. I didn't get any information from them, but ladies and gentlemen of the body, this is long overdue. We've got to pass this legislation to make it so that I'll bet 90% of the people in this body today need to be legal, and we can make it legal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate?
Mr. Chairman.
Good lady from District 33.
Or Mr. Speaker, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to make a comment on the good gentleman from District 10. If you're hunting and you're using that knife for hunting purposes, that's processing your food, in my opinion.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 223 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. The roll call shows 69 aye, 0 nay, 1 absent and excused. House Bill 223 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill 223 will be transmitted to the Senate. The gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that House Bill 223 and House Bill 208 hold their place on the third reading calendar one legislative day.
Good gentleman, we just acted on 223.
Excuse me, Mr. Speaker, 208 and 219.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request that House Bill 208 and 219 hold their place on the third reading calendar for one legislative day. Is there an objection? Hearing none, so ordered. The House will now have under consideration House Concurrent Resolution number 17. Good lady from District 11.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of House Concurrent Resolution 17, please.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good lady is recognized to open the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the body, the purpose of this current resolution is simply to reject docket number 160720-1201. It is section 009, subsection 01. It is the Department of Health and Welfare, Alcohol and Substance Use Disorders Treatment and Recovery Support Services, Facilities, and Programs bill, rule, actually. And it was that particular portion of the rule that was actually not in line with legislative intent, and so we do need to reject that, please.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Concurrent Resolution number 17 pass the House? Without objection, there will be a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and House Concurrent Resolution number 17 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, House Concurrent Resolution number 17 will be transmitted to the Senate.
Mr. Speaker, will you please put the House at ease for a moment?
The House will be at ease. You got to hold the rest of the bills.
That's what I'm doing right now.
The House will be in order.
Mr.
The gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the remaining bills on the third reading calendar hold their place one legislative day.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from 14.
Point of personal privilege.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, if you'll grab your second reading calendar, I'll go through the bills that we want to do. And our intention is to work till noon and then come back on at probably 1:30 and work for an hour or so. We'll try to get as many of them done as we can. We would like to hear House Bill 251, 253, 255, 232 on the second page, 232. House Concurrent Resolution 14 on the third page. House Bill 244 on the third page. On the fourth page, 45, 98, 91, 113, and House Bill 30 on the fifth page. I don't know how far we can get, but we'll go till noon, come back at 1:30 and work an hour, and we'll just see how far that list we can go through. And if you have any problems or questions, just call me. We can adjust that if we need to.
Good gentleman, did you say House Bill 90 as amended?
Mr. Speaker, I skipped House Bill 90 as amended. I did not mention House Bill 90 as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The House, without objection, the House will return to the seventh order of business, motions, memorials, and resolutions. The House is at the seventh order. Good gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I move that all rules interfering with the immediate consideration of House Bill 251 be suspended, making possible the immediate consideration of House Bill 251.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
You've all heard the motion. This motion requires 2/3 of the body, or 47 votes, for passage. The clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Representative Packer. Representative Ward Engelking. Votes aye. Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. The roll call shows 69 ayes, 0 nay, 1 absent excused. More than 2/3 have voted in the affirmative. The rules are suspended, and the House will have under consideration House Bill 251. Good gentleman from District 32.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 251.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 251 is the fiscal year 2014 appropriation to the Industrial Commission in the amount of $15,289,400 with 137.25 full-time equivalent positions. The Industrial Commission was established to ensure that Idaho's workers' compensation law is impartially and efficiently administered. The ongoing operations of the Industrial Commission is funded by a combination of dedicated and federal funds. Dedicated funds include the Industrial Administration Fund, which is derived from a 2.5% tax on workers' compensation insurance policy premiums from every surety and self-insured. The Criminal Victims Compensation Funds are derived from fines paid on misdemeanors or felonies and are used to pay benefits to innocent victims of crime. The Police and Detention Officers Disability Fund was created to provide a full salary to employees in certain dangerous occupations who have been injured on the job. Income is generated by an additional fine imposed on persons found guilty of criminal activity. The Commission also receives funding from a federal grant for crime victims. Turning to the fiscal note, this bill provides $106,000 for benefit cost adjustments, $166,100 for replacement items, and $11,900 for statewide cost allocation. Replacement items include 46 chairs, 2 vehicles, a phone system in Boise, Nampa, and Pocatello offices, 1 work table, 1 printer, 1 laptop computer, 10 desk computers. This bill also provides for two line items. Line item 1 provides $31,800 for video conferencing equipment, digital cameras, security equipment, and office equipment. Line item number 2 provides a net zero object transfer from trustee and benefits to personnel costs in the amount of $3,900 to the Peace Officers Detention Temporary Disability Reimbursement Fund. This transfer is necessary because of the impacts from House Bill 570 of the 2012 legislative session, which created an additional scenario for which officers can make claims for full salary. As a consequence, the Industrial Commission anticipates processing more claims. With these 2 line items, the budget is a 1.3% increase above the FY 2013 original appropriation.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 251 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Oh. The clerk will reset the machine and the vote will be on House Bill 251. The members will cast their votes in just a second. The members will cast their vote. Has every member voted? Representative Patterson. Representative Patterson, how do you vote? Yea or nay? Okay. Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. The roll call shows 52 aye, 17 nay, 1 absent excused. House Bill 251 has passed the House. Is there a correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill 251 will be transmitted to the Senate. Good gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for the suspension of rules on House Bill 251 now be used for the suspension of rules on House Bill 253, making possible the immediate consideration of House Bill 253.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request to suspend the rules and take under consideration House Bill 253. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the House will have under consideration House Bill 253. Good gentleman from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of House Bill 253.
Without objection, the gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the body. This is the fiscal year 2014 appropriation to the Public Utilities Commission in the amount of $5,482,200 with full-time equivalent positions capped at 50. Funding for the PUC is from fees on regulated utilities with a small portion from federal stimulus monies and federal grants. There are no general funds in this budget. The bill includes funding for the employer's share of increased costs for health insurance and retirement benefits, rent increases, replacement items, and an increase in statewide cost allocation. The one notable item in the appropriation is $113,700 and 1 new full-time equivalent position for a gas pipeline safety inspector. The Commission and its federal partner, the Federal Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, are responsible to ensure the safe operation of natural gas pipelines in the state. The Commission currently has 2 inspectors who spend 60% of their time inspecting gas pipelines. This budget brings the full-time equivalent count from 1.2 to 2.2, funded 70% by the Federal Department of Transportation and 30% from the natural gas utilities. The fiscal year 2014 budget for the Public Utilities Commission is an increase of 4.3% over the fiscal year 2013 budget. And I remind the body again, this is all dedicated funds. No general funds are included.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 253 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. The roll call shows 63 ayes, 6 nay, 1 absent excused. House Bill 253 has passed the House. Is there a correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill 253 will be transmitted to the Senate. Good gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House recess until the hour of 1:30.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries and the House stands at recess until the hour of 1:30 p.m.